good to see everybody. So welcome to Teaching Fishing Coffee Hour. It is a little after 7 o'clock, October 14th, 2020. I want to go over a few things with you guys before we get started today, and kind of how we're going to kind of function with Coffee Hour going forward. We started Coffee Hour back during the pandemic. I think it was cathartic for everybody, myself included. It was something that honestly gave me a purpose, a reason to get up in the morning. I got to meet a lot of you through this. Some of you I hadn't known before. Some of you I did. It was a chance to reconnect with people we did know, a chance to connect with people that we didn't know. Kind of introduce you guys to what, if you didn't know who we were, what Teaching Fishing was, who I am, kind of how we teach, kind of what we think about things. It was just a nice little opportunity to get together. Because of the pandemic and because everything had kind of shut down and, we weren't able to do seminars and classes and all the stuff we had scheduled, and get to boat shows where we normally see a lot of you guys. We did get a little seminary, let's put it that way, on Coffee Hour, and that was never the intention. If you remember the first couple coffee hours, we talked about superstitions on the boat. What do you eat for lunch? Do you listen to music? Just kind of some fun things, just to kind of just get together and chat every morning. And it kind of turned into a seminar, and I really don't want to do that because this format is really not great for seminaring, because it's very rarely have stuff prepared. Don't have any visuals, don't have any video or any slides to kind of support what we're doing or talk about what we're doing or keep us in a rhythm. We really can't cover a topic because we get on one thing, then the next question comes about something else. So what we're going to do going forward is keep Coffee Hour kind of what it was originally designed to be, which is just a quick little chat on Monday mornings to just kind of get our week started, right? Talk about fishing, maybe discuss a little bit what happened over the weekend, maybe talk about our plans for the week, and have one or two topics. So what you'll start to see is probably Sunday morning, you'll see a promo that we will share with all of our friends. Calvin Brady over at Metro Detroit, Walleye Stalkers, and John at Pro Walleye. I'm going to do a little promo video. Royce's Coffee Hour costs a lot of money in tackle. We are going to do a little promo, probably run somewhere between Friday and Sunday. You'll see it on all the places that we share what we do. And we're going to come up with two topics for Monday's Coffee Hour, and we're going to kind of stick to those topics. So it won't be a lot of quote-unquote seminaring. We're going to kind of stay away from that. It's going to be just two guys sitting down having coffee, or all of us sitting down and having coffee and just talking about something fun. We're going to try to come up with a question of the week. We're going to try to come up with one or two quick little topics to talk about. And then we're just going to kind of go on about our day and our week, and away we go. So we're going to try to get away from the seminar because we want to do the teaching in a little more controlled environment where we have slides, we have video, we have everything ready to go, and then be able to offer a live Q&A where we talk about the seminars we did that month specifically, so we can get into that stuff. So that's kind of where we're going to be at. So that's where we're going to kind of go today. I got a couple subjects for today, and we will kind of discuss those for a little bit, and then we'll kind of go on about our day. So a couple real quick updates. A couple real quick updates. The Fishing Education Weekend in Ohio is a go. Obviously, we've got a pretty good number signed up. I don't know exactly yet. I worked last night on putting everybody into a spreadsheet, kind of seeing where we were, who we had, what we had from rooms, boats, non-boaters, that type of thing. So you should be getting an email if you sign up for the Fishing Education Weekend. You should be seeing an email by probably the end of this week is my goal. My goal is to get it done today with details of the trip. You'll probably get a link to an invoice for the rest of your payment. There'll be a equipment list on there, so you know what to buy, what to bring, what to have. There'll be some details, probably a very general itinerary as we kind of file in our speakers and kind of who's going to be there to do our seminars Friday night and Saturday night. So, but you'll have something by the end of this week that says, yes, you're good. Here's a general idea of when you need to be there. Here's a general idea of what's going on, and an equipment list so you can be ready to go. So the Fishing Education Weekend is a go. We still have room because of what has happened in the last week or so here, especially in Michigan, with Ohio kind of following suit. Basically a lot of the mandated shutdowns and some things we couldn't do are gone. So so we're able to actually have a few more people. We originally thought that we were going to have to kind of limit it to maybe 30 or 40. Luckily, that's not going to be the case. I talked about the hotel and the caterer, the hall where we do all of our meals and we do all of our meals and all of our seminars. There are no restrictions, so we're going to be able to kind of do what we need to do. So we've been able to open up a few other spots. So it's ready to go. Someone said, Jeff says, is the Fishing Education Weekend full? It is not, Jeff. I just posted a link if you guys would like to come. I just posted a link. Click on that. That'll give you the information of what's going on the trip and your initial $25 deposit to get signed up. So love to have you sign up for that. Looking forward to that. Actually, it's gonna be nice to get kind of semi back to to normal. Charter season was kind of a wash. The summer was good. We've tried to do some perch fishing on the bay. It seems like we've had a lot of bad weather this weekend. Looks like really, really crappy weather. Looking at the wind forecast, Sunday specifically, we're definitely going to lose Sunday. We'll see what happens. I want to check the weather. So wind finder, I think for everybody says Sunday is going to be a no-go. So, Sunday we're talking 40 mile an hour gusts, with some rain late in the afternoon. Saturday morning looks okay. We're talking gusts, up around 20 on Saturday. With temperatures in the low 40s. I don't know how excited people are going to be to go fishing on that day, but so anyway, so it'll be good to get back to our Fishing Education Weekend and get going with that. The National Walleye Tour has their championship here in Ohio this weekend. Actually today, I think it's today and tomorrow, the whole field fishes, and they cut to, I think, top 10 or top 20 on Friday. So we will crown a new National Walleye Tour champion this weekend. A lot of our friends are participating in that event. Max Wilson, Ryan Buddy. I don't have a whole list. A lot of our friends are competing in that, so hopefully they all do well, and we'll get with one of those guys and get a report when it's all over and see how the fishing went. They're launching out of Huron. I don't imagine they're fishing too close to Huron with kind of what has been going on, kind of a little bit I know. I would imagine they're heading a little bit further east. So we'll see what happens. So it'll be good to see that. But that's always fun to watch. You can go to the National Walleye Tours Facebook page and see a live weigh-in, I think at 3 o'clock every afternoon. You can watch and or listen to the live weigh-in. That's always fun to kind of see the kind of fish the guys are catching down there. Yesterday was a celebration of life for a gentleman named Nels Larson. Nels was one of the original group that started the Michigan Walleye Tour, part of the Saginaw Bay Walleye Club. Nels was a treasure for a long, long, long time. And when I first got into fishing, especially tournament fishing, was looking for some sponsors and looking for some help and looking for some opportunities. Nels, along with some other people up there, Kenny Shear specifically, Nels was one of the guys that kind of helped me and my brother and I get started in tournament fishing. He was very encouraging. He made sure we had the information we needed, made sure we had the help we needed, got us in touch with people, introduced us to some people. Unfortunately, Nels passed away. Nels was a veteran. Nels started the Wounded Warrior event up in Saginaw. That whole organization. Just a good guy. Did a lot for the fishing community. Did a lot for the veteran community. Did a lot for veteran fishermen. So just a good guy. And they had a celebration of his life yesterday at Lima Beach Marina. Unfortunately, I couldn't get there. I had a family commitment I could not get out of, but would have liked to have been there. But they had a celebration of his life yesterday. So just want to mention him real good. He was just a good man for a good friend, good person for the community, fishing community as a whole, and the veteran community as a whole. And those two together, he really did a lot of work for them. So he will be missed. Just wanted to say a little rest in peace to our good friend Nels Larson. Man, 2020 has been not a good year. Roy Miller says 50 boats for the Saginaw River tournament this Saturday. That'll be good. Saturday looks like the best day of the weekend. So that'll be, guys will have to make a decision. I'm sure there's guys pre-fishing the next couple days. They'll have to make a decision based on what they think the weather's going to be Saturday. How much time do they spend pre-fishing in the river? Because if we get, the best fishing right now is in the lake. I think, traditionally this time of year, we don't have a huge flush of a lot of big fish in the river. There are some, obviously, but we don't have a lot of those up there yet. You're going to get a chance of getting more consistent bite on big fish in the lake right now. But what happens if the weather goes to 20, 25 mile an hour and the lake is either all churned up, you can't get to your spot, water's dirty. So how much time do you spend the next day or two if you got pre-fishing? How much time do you spend in the river making sure you have a backup pattern just in case? So that's always one of those questions about tournament fishing is how much time do you spend on alternatives, right? You have a main pattern, and usually most tournaments you have your main pattern, then you try to have one or two secondary patterns just in case. So how much time do you spend on your just in case pattern for the tournament? I would tell you if the tournament was Sunday, I definitely wouldn't spend any time in the lake pre-fishing. But Saturday is kind of going to be one of those iffy days as far as the weather goes. A lot of wind, but a good direction on Saturday for the guys fishing Saginaw Bay. I know there was a lot of wind. Let's see what the forecast is. So the forecast is 8 o'clock in the morning. Talking 13 to 15 sustained, gust up to around 20. But it is southwest, so that'll be okay. It won't be terrible, but just something to think about if you're a tournament guy. How do you kind of how do you divide your time? You only have so much pre-fishing time. How do you divide that? So one of the things I would like to do is I would like to do a tournament angler roundtable sometime this winter probably, and talk to a couple of our tournament guys. Maybe get everybody on a Zoom style meeting, 3 or 4 guys, and actually do a interview with them and kind of talk about how they plan their day. Because I think it's important, even if you don't tournament fish, I think it's important that you get a chance to talk to how guys that are fishing for dollars, fishing an event, fishing for results, how they manage their time. Because it's the same thing we have to do, right? We may go out for fun with Dad and our son and whoever you're going out with, a couple buddies, but you only got so many hours in the day to do what you need to do. So how do you manage your time? So I think that's something we can learn from tournament guys, even if we don't tournament fish. So there you go. Okay, let's kind of get rolling here. Today's question, this little topic I want to talk about. Today's question is, where is your favorite place to fish for fall walleye? That's kind of our topic for today. Where is your favorite place to fish for fall walleye? Now, I don't think you can beat Lake Erie in Ohio in the fall. If you drew a line basically from Sandusky to let's go to Lorain. I think that part of the world is probably some of the best fall fishing that we have in the world. But what is your favorite fall fishing place? I know there's a lot of you who like to, cast glide baits, shiver minnow style baits. I know a couple of our friends like to fish up the natural lakes up north in the fall. Burt Lake, Mullet Lake, Lake Marguerite, those types of lakes, casting jigging spoons, casting glide baits. There's some people right now catching some fish on the Detroit River. I heard a little story of a guy who had had a nice 2-man limit in the lower part of the Detroit River and had a couple fish over 7 pounds yesterday, jigging in the Detroit River. So obviously there's some fish in that river in the fall. Saginaw River used to be one of my favorite places to go until I learned about Lake Erie. But the Saginaw River used to be my favorite place to go. We would start, when it was really good. I started fishing it in, I know I wasn't married. I started fishing it pretty regular 1989, is that right? I know I wasn't married the first couple times I fished it. Yeah, so the early 90s was kind of my introduction to Saginaw River, and at that time I was working a job that I could work whenever I wanted to, and there was 3-4 years there in the mid 90s specifically, early 90s, mid 90s, that I'd fish every day. There was a group of about 6 or 8 of us that were there every day. And I'd go to that Saginaw River every single day for about a month and a half. We'd start about this time of year, about early October, and we'd go right up through ice up, and I would fish almost every day. And that was a fun time. There was a lot of current in the river. Excuse me. You had to vertical jig. We vertical jigged. 6.5 foot rods with monofilament line. I wish I knew then what I know now about jigging. I can't imagine the fish we would have caught if we would have done a little better. 8 ounce, 3/8 ounce, 1/4 ounce fireball jigs with a minnow and a stinger hook. That was go fishing. That was it. And man, we caught a lot of fish doing that. Lots of fish doing that. Learned about boat control there. I learned about running the bow mount electric. I would drive. I had a 16-foot Lund Pro V tiller. I'd drive the boat. My buddy would sit in the front, and he'd work the trolling motor. It was just a fun gig. We would take a trip with me and 2 buddies. We had a standing trip Thanksgiving morning. We'd get up, we'd get out of here. We'd get up to the river there about 6:30, 6:45, launch the boat, fish until about 1:30, drive home and have Thanksgiving dinner. So a lot of fun times there. So but again, if I had to pick one place, you said, hey, you get one place to go this fall, where are you going to go? It's definitely going to be Ohio. And that seems to be a pretty popular place. Matt Lebenz from Slow Trolling LLC says loads of bait moving into Cleveland and Huron. That should be about right. We should start seeing some bait move in. And we've got a couple seminars coming up. Next week, everybody's going to be able to see the 8 steps application seminar about fall and kind of how we apply fall to the 8 steps. And then for the subscription guys, we've got a seminar on the 4 stages of fall fishing, kind of what those 4 stages are, how to identify them, and what to look for those times a year, kind of what happens. And then we've got a fall location seminar we're going to be doing, kind of what kind of areas to look for. And then we're going to do a seminar for the subscription guys on fall presentation. We're talking a little bit about crankbaits. We talk about crankbaits a lot already. We're going to talk about crankbaits, but we're also going to talk about some alternate presentations, live bait rigging with big pieces of live bait, shiver minnows, glide baits, jigging spoons, jigging in the rivers, casting, that type of stuff. So we're going to kind of do a seminar on alternate presentations. So a lot of stuff still coming up in the next couple of weeks for you guys, especially the subscription guys, on fall walleye fishing. Wes Smith says Lake Erie, Central or Western Basin. There you go. Matt says his goal this fall is to catch a walleye on a drop shot on a few spots he has off Cleveland. I like that. I think one of the things we're gonna get a chance to spend some time in Ohio this year. Um, Sometimes we don't always, again, this year I don't have, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I don't have all the distributor shows because usually I'm at a distributor show right up until the day we start our fish education weekend. And then I usually leave like the Wednesday or Thursday after I have to be on a plane and go somewhere else. We don't have that this year. So I'm gonna get a chance to spend some time in Huron after the trip. So I'm looking forward to spending a day in the Angler Quest and actually working that area from Huron up to Vermilion, kind of along the shoreline there. That's a very, very good fall walleye spot. It's a great spring walleye spot. Lots of gravel, lots of rock, lots of hard bottom areas with quick access to deep water, which is important in the fall. But doing some jig fishing, doing some spoon fishing, doing some glide bait fishing. Looking forward to that. So Matt, I like that. I'm curious how that goes. I think that's an interesting little twist on this. Ryan Bomback, hi Ryan from Ride Tech Marine, says Bay of Quinte, where the big trophy girls head every fall. On my bucket list to get to Bay of Quinte. I've been talking about it for years. I don't think we're going to be able to do it this year, simply because of the pandemic. But Ryan, we need to keep our conversation going. We're looking at putting together a trip next year over there in the fall. Kind of a fishing education weekend style trip over to Bay of Quinte. So that's definitely on my bucket list. And Ryan lives not too far from there. Good for him. Good place to be, Ryan. Roy Miller says Saginaw River, so many fish, and man, it is. If you're uncomfortable with jig fishing, actually, if you're uncomfortable with any technique, the best way to do it is to take that technique and go somewhere where you can catch a bunch of fish. Forget how big they are. Right? I know when I was bass fishing, back, in the mid '80s, I was doing a lot of bass fishing, and I wasn't really good with plastic worms. It wasn't something I did. I was good with crankbaits, loved to spinnerbait fish, liked to topwater fish. Wasn't really good with worms. And we have a little lake about 15 miles from me that's loaded with, 11 to 15 inch bass. Not a lot of big ones. You occasionally get a big one in there, but just lots of 11, 12, 13 inch bass. And I can remember going out there, I had a bag of purple, a 100 count bag of purple, a 100 count bag of brown power worms from Berkeley, a couple hooks, different size weights, and I spent all summer at that lake with just those 2 bags of worms and hooks, and that's it. And I learned how to fish plastic worms. By the time that year was over, I was comfortable catching bass on plastic worms in a foot of water, and I was comfortable catching bass on plastic worms in 40 feet of water and everywhere in between. So Saginaw River is a great place if you want to learn how to jig fish, especially if you want to learn how to catch walleyes casting with a jig. Because we don't have the current we have with the dam situation being different up in Midland than it used to be. We don't have the current flow. We definitely don't have the change in current flow. It used to be a big change in current flow Friday afternoon when they shut the dam off, and then a big increase in current flow on Monday when they turned the dam back on. We don't have that, and the water coming through there really isn't consistent flow anymore. So there are a lot more spots that you can cast as opposed to on a vertical jig. If you want to learn how to cast a jig and catch fish casting jigs, or catch fish casting spoons or other types of things in a river situation, you can't beat the Saginaw River this time of year and a little bit later, because like Roy says, there are so many fish. There's gazillion 11, 12, 13 inch fish in that river. There's a whole bunch of 1.5 to 3 pound fish, and then you get, the right time, the right day, the right place, the right conditions, you can get a lot of big fish in that river too. But if you want to go and learn how to catch fish casting in a river, how to position your boat and how to cast upstream and kind of quarter, you can't beat the Saginaw River this time of year. It is loaded with fish. They're willing to bite. It is a great, great, great place to go. Corey says he likes to head to inland lakes with a source of current. Lets you know the size potential in that lake, and most inland lakes are abandoned. I agree with that. Yeah, if you've got an inland lake, especially if it has a little bit of current in it, neck down area between 2 lakes or a river or a stream coming in or out, inland lakes can definitely be overlooked in the fall. And that's good because there aren't a lot of people on them. We got a lot of guys right now who switch to duck hunting and deer hunting. So the Great Lakes obviously get a lot of fishing because they're known, but maybe you have an inland lake close to you that has walleyes in it. And and get out there and do some fishing this fall. Maybe a chance to take a couple quick trips after work, right? Maybe get 2 or 3 hours after work, and you don't necessarily need to hit these big bodies of water. So there are lots of places, and Corey nails it. If you got an inland lake, look for the shoreline that the wind is blowing into. If you have current, that makes it so much better. If you have a place where there is current, that is a great place to go. You can do some shore fishing. You can fish from a boat, but a lot of really cool inland lake places to fish. Alan Young says he votes for St. Clair and Detroit. Can't argue with that. That is absolutely 100% a great place to go fishing in the fall. Johnny Gall says he likes the islands, Lorraine and Cleveland for the fall brawl. Fall brawl does start the 16th. Last day for sign up is today if you're interested in the fall brawl. I'm not going to talk too much about the fall brawl because it's kind of not one of my favorite things, but that's okay. Dan Nowagelski, hi Danny. His favorite is anywhere between Cranberry Creek and McGee Marsh. That's a perfect area. That is where I learned to troll crankbaits intelligently. Now, when we do, I just finished up the slideshow for our seminar on the phases of fall, the 4 different phases of fall. And one of the things we talk about, we talk specifically for about 10 minutes about the Lorraine, Vermilion, Huron, Sandusky area in detail, and talk about how weather and water temperature. Now, remember, we've been fishing down there now for 20 some years, 25 years. We've got a lot of data, and we have some very, very specific temperature numbers and weather situations that need to be hit that determine where the fish are going to be between Vermilion and Sandusky, when they're going to show up and how close to shore they're going to get. So that's a little interesting little tidbit we're going to have in our seminar when we talk about fall location. So if you're a subscription guy, stay tuned to that. If you're not, you can go to teachingfishing.com. And I'm going to put the link up here for the information on the subscription service. You can sign up and you have access to a lot of different material that everybody doesn't have access to. So we do 1, sometimes 2 seminars a month for everybody, which something we do, and then we actually have a deeper dig, as they say, or deeper dive, as they say. And we peel back the onion a little bit further for our subscription guys. Doug Ward says, want to do some fall fishing on a couple local lakes, Chippewa and Hardy Pond. Now, reservoirs are really cool in the fall because there's a definite shift in location from upper reservoir to lower reservoir. So down closer to the dam as the water gets colder, there's a migration, especially if your reservoir has shad, there's a migration of shad away from the shallower waters that don't stay quite as stable, and the weather changes and the temperature changes. There's a definite shift of those bait fish down towards the dam in the deeper part of the reservoir. So if you're fishing a reservoir in the fall, be cognizant and pay attention to that. Yeah, Ryan, talking to Kelvin about bucket list. Yeah, Ryan and I have talked a little bit. We'll need to talk more in the next couple weeks here and put together a trip for next year. I think it'd be fun to go over as a group and have everything kind of like we do at our fishing education weekends, have lodging coordinated, have meals coordinated, so we can all kind of be together and fish together. So I think that'd be a fun little trip. A fun little trip. Ben Warzen, hi Ben, how are you? Dan Clary talking to Dougie Ward says Hardy Drain drawdown begins 11/1 for dam repair. So if you want to get in there, get it. Johnny, no, you're good, buddy. No, look, I'm a big supporter of the fall brawl. Trust me, I love what they do. I'm just being an old grumpy guy. Because we've talked about this before. I can remember when we first went to Huron, and this is sure as I'm sitting here, when we first started our Huron trips, 2003, 2004, as a group, it was literally on the water, us, our group and 4 locals. That was it. There was nobody there. You had to launch at Waltzky's underneath the bridge, and that's all there was. There was not that big ramp. You know, I remember our first 6, 7, 8 years, maybe more than that. We'd pull into Huron with our group, and we were it. There was nobody there. Restaurants were closed. Some of the smaller gas stations closed. We had 5 years where the hotel was closed because Cedar Point was done, and they actually opened up for 2 weeks for us and then closed for the winter. So I can remember when we first started going to Huron that it was us. I mean, it was us. And there'd be, you know, maybe on a good Saturday or a really nice Sunday, there'd be a dozen local boats. That was it. You know, now there's 75 gazillion guys there, which, you know what, there should be. That's a great fishery. A lot of people talk about it. We've talked about it, you know, and it's a great fishery. I just think that sometimes with a brawl situation or a tournament situation, sometimes you don't always see the best in anglers. Whereas opposed, you're just out there for shits and giggles and having a good time. It's easy to wave and everybody turns away and we have a good time. We all chat as we go by. I think sometimes guys get so focused on their 1 in a gazillion chance to win a boat that they kind of get focused on that, and sometimes courtesy gets thrown out the window. So anyway, but I do love the fall ride. I love what Craig does at Erie Outfitters. I love what they do. They raise a lot of money for a lot of good causes. I'm a big supporter of the fall brawl. Trust me. It was just nice to have the lake, to have that area, and not have to share it with a gazillion people. I sound like my dad. It's like an old grumpy guy now. Paul Phillips says he's a little late, but good morning. Good to see you. Nick Morales, what part of the lake do you think will win the tournament over the next 3 days? I don't know. My gut tells me, I think you're going to be east of Cleveland. I think there's still a pretty good monster bite out that way. The water temperature is not cool enough yet to bring the fish, you know. I don't think it's going to be one in the Huron area. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be one east of Lorain for sure, and probably east of Cleveland. So we'll see. Okay, what else? Favorite places for fall walleye fishing. Let's talk about some more of these. Or let's do it this way. Fall walleye place is your favorite or a place that you want to go? You know, again, Bay of Quinte is on everybody's list, I think. I would like to spend some time up in northern Michigan. Honestly, I would like to spend some fall time, and I could make this happen. I would like to spend some fall time up in some of the traditional well-known walleye lakes up in Minnesota, Cass Lake, Leech Lake, even Lake of the Woods, Lake Vermilion, those places. I really, really enjoy live bait rigging. We don't get a chance to do it a lot. We don't do it a lot here because we don't have to. I really enjoy live bait rigging. A slip sinker with a piece of live bait, usually a big minnow this time of year. Working structures, and you know, traditionally this time of year on those types of natural lakes, 20, 40, sometimes 50 feet deep. You know, finding fish on your sonar and just putting that minnow right in front of them, and just, you know, riding your hand with your finger on the line, and you know, you lift that sinker a little bit, and all of a sudden you physically can feel your rod tip moving. That minnow gets a little scared, and all of a sudden you go to lift that sinker and it just goes glunk, and there's just weight there. One of my favorite ways to fish. I don't get to do it enough. I would love to spend 2 or 3 weeks, you know, 10, 12 days maybe, up in that part of the world. Lake Bemidji, Cass Lake, obviously is one of my favorite places up in northwestern Minnesota. Leech Lake, Lake Vermilion, those places, Mille Lacs. I would love to go up there in the fall and catch some of those big giant walleyes in the fall with a rod in my hand. That would be amazing. So that's on my bucket list. That's a place I would like to go in the fall. Ed Bolonowski says Hubbard Lake. Yes. See, we have a lot of those lakes. So those lakes I talked about in Minnesota, we have a lot of those lakes here in Michigan. Hubbard Lake, Burt Lake, Mullet Lake, Lake Marguerite. A lot of them are up in the upper, the upper half of the Upper Peninsula. We have a lot of those lakes that, number one, don't get fished enough. Number two, because we are a 3-rod state, I think sometimes we forget about 1-rod fishing. Minnesota is a 1-rod state. So if you're trolling, there's 2 guys in the boat, you get 2 rods in the water. So it's a lot harder to figure out a pattern. So if you can sit on a rock hump and watch the fish, mark the fish you're fishing for, right? That is a lot easier than trying to troll, especially when these fish get on structure. And remember, a lot of these lakes don't have the amount of open water bait that like Lake Erie and Saginaw Bay has, right? So Lake Erie and Saginaw Bay have smelt and shad and some alewives and shiners. So we have an open water lifestyle. A lot of these big lakes in Minnesota, they are sucker based, they are chub based, they are now goby based, and the fish spend a lot of time on the bottom, especially in the fall. So you don't get these big globs of fish chasing these big pods of shad like we do in the Great Lakes. So they are smaller pods of fish in smaller, tighter, confined areas that you really can't troll. We have that here, though. We have that at Hubbard. We have that at Burt. We have that at Mullet. We have that at Lake Marguerite. We have that at Manistee Lake. I'm sure there's lakes I'm missing in Grand Lake over by Alpena, Long Lake over by Alpena, Elk Lake, Torch Lake, pick one. Let's you go forever over on the west side by Traverse City, all those lakes, but nobody really fishes them, right? Or everybody trolls them. So we have the ability to do some of that rod and hand stuff. We just don't do it. So maybe I think I just put together the germination of an idea for a fall trip next year. Maybe we get a small group of guys and we go somewhere and we do a trip, a no trolling trip. I've always wanted to do a summertime Saginaw Bay fishing education weekend without trolling. I've always wanted to do that. We're going to go and we're going to learn. We're going to learn how to fish the weeds. We're going to go and we're going to learn how to fish the humps. We're going to go to learn. We're going to get away from trolling, because I think we get too. You're looking at one of the most guilty people in the world. We get too dependent on a bunch of baits in the water, trolling it, and we forget sometimes how to go back and fish those areas. So just something to think about. Dan says Little and Big Bay to knock. He fished them in the spring, but not in the fall. 2 good places. They used to be fantastic fall and winter fishing. Unfortunately, some netting situations up there caused the fishing to kind of go down a little bit, but still a great fishery. Corey has a great idea for the guys that hate ice. Walleyes don't really start to push upstream until November and spawn as early as February in Tennessee, where he is kind of living now, and are really incidental to other fishing pressure. That's a great point. If you're not an ice fisherman and you want to get away, but you want to do some walleye fishing, hook up your boat. Tennessee, Kentucky, even Arkansas, North Arkansas, Bull Shoals, Temecamo, all those lakes around the White River have amazing walleye fisheries that don't get fished, because walleye fishing is probably 4th or 5th on the list of what to do. They have great populations. They have the ability to grow big walleye. And at the time that we're ice fishing, these fish are just kind of getting into their push into current areas. So if you like to walleye fish and want to stay on open water, not a bad place to go. Kentucky, Tennessee, Northern Arkansas, lots of walleye waters in those states that you can fish in December, January, February when we have ice here. So not a bad idea. Paul Phillips, North Dakota. I agree, Paul. I would love to go out to North Dakota in the fall. I've been to Bismarck on the Missouri River multiple times for the Professional Walleye Trail Championship. I fished that in September, early October, a couple times. Loved it. Devil's Lake would be a great place. Any place along the Missouri River would be a good place to go in the fall. Again, big fish. That would be a nice trip. Ron Merbler, Rainy Lake or Rainy River, Lake of the Woods, absolutely. Rainy River, Lake of the Woods, Rainy Lake, those lakes up there on the border of U.S., Minnesota and Canada, great places to go this time of year. So, yeah, on my list. I gotta get this done, man. I'm getting old. Jack says, sounds like fishing Hardy Pond this time of year. Big chubs. Big chubs are a great way to catch big walleyes this time of year. Windy points in the fall, absolutely. Anytime you can find wind and or current, you have got a great situation for fall walleye. We're going to talk about that when we talk about the 4 phases of fall seminar here. And I think we should have that up by the end of next week. I just got the slideshow done last night. Matt says, I want to take a few weekends on Mosquito Lake next year to learn how to catch walleye from the weeds. Mosquito, little reservoir in Ohio that doesn't get enough pressure. Ben says, I need work to slow down a bit so I can start fishing again. Calvin's going to spill a few little beans here, and he is absolutely right. Union Lake, Cass Lake, Wolverine Lake, some great inland walleye lakes certain times of year. Absolutely, though, without question, those are underfished walleye waters all the time, but definitely can be great fall walleye lakes. They have everything you need for good fall walleye fishing. They have a large bait supply. They have deep water. Deep water grows big walleyes. Now, look, you can catch a lot of big walleye in smaller waters and waters that don't have a lot of depth also. But there's something about walleyes being able to escape to colder water, especially if there's cold water bait in the summertime. Those fish have a tendency to not be as stressed in the summer. They continue to grow a little bit over the summer, as opposed to not when they're in really, really warm water environments. And you've got a situation, Union Lake, Cass Lake, Wolverine Lake. These are small inland lakes in Michigan. Orchard Lake, another one, that have planted walleye. Some have created natural reproduction situations, but those fish have deep water. They have cold water. They have deep water bait. They have lots of room to move, and they're under pressure. So definitely something to put on your list, again, for those quick little trips, right? It's Saturday morning. You're done with your chores. It's 11 o'clock. Honeydew list is over. Hook the boat up, run to Cass Lake or Union Lake, fish for 3 hours and come home. You don't need to hook the boat up and head to St. Clair or Detroit or Lake Erie or Saginaw Bay to enjoy good fall fishing. There's places you can do it. John Shizalka says it's not just walleye, though. Absolutely. Concepts work. And I'm spreading my wings, learning to apply all this, even in saltwater. And we've preached that for years, right? Our 8 steps and kind of how you apply what you're doing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're, again, it doesn't matter if you're sitting on a bucket fishing for bluegills in a farm pond or you're 6 miles offshore in the ocean chasing blue marlin. The 8 steps apply. If you look at fishing that way, be in the right place or be in the right depth of water, know where the fish are so you know where to put your baits, and then concentrate on lure, speed, size, shape, action, and color, you're going to get it. If you apply that concept and that thinking in that order of importance, I don't care where you're fishing, what you're fishing for, it works. And John's living proof of that. He's taken everything he's kind of learned from us here, not just us, but things he's learned in his fishing, and he's taking them down to Florida and saltwater and applying. So, and going to have a chance to instantly be a good fisherman because he's doing it right. Nick says, I just want to fish anywhere. Ain't that the truth? Captain Kevin from Lake Erie Fishing Charters. Hi, Kevin. Good to see him. Kevin Swartz, our good buddy. I'm sure he's on Lake Erie. What's the weather down there today, Kevin? 8 o'clock. I'm assuming you're not fishing. If you're here at 8 o'clock, I'm assuming you are not fishing. Let's see what we got. I got the Huron Light on here. Doesn't look too bad today. Whew, tomorrow looks terrible. Yeah. Dan says he's got a piece of property off Hubbard Lake Road. If we're interested, it's got a power pole. That would be nice. I like Hubbard Lake. we had a great, we fished the Michigan Walleye Tour State Championship there. This is a long time ago, 1999. We finished second up there. Really enjoyed it. We were doing something different. We were pulling, everybody was fishing with live bait. Most guys are fishing bouncers and collar harnesses, bouncers and leeches, that type of stuff. We were actually pulling crankbaits with snap weights. 1.5, 2, 3, and 4 ounce snap weights in front of, actually, I don't know if I have one here, in front of 1/4 ounce hot and tots and deep junior thunder sticks, and get them down just above the thermocline. And good week there. So I do, Hubbard Lake's one of my favorite places. Nick Morales says best time of year to bluegill fish is right. Look at the best time of year for a lot of fish is right now. Fall is, I know everybody gets excited about spring. I think fall fishing is head and shoulders above spring fishing. The fish are hungrier. Traditionally in spring, unless the fish are actually spawning, they're spread out. Fall starts to bring fish together on very, very defined pieces of structure. They're very hungry. There's less bait in the water. They're feeding up more now in the fall than they ever do in the spring. Because spring you're usually dealing with the stress of either pre-spawn or post-spawn. Fall time, it's all about getting fat. So yeah, anything this time of year, whatever you like to fish for, fall is a great time. Excuse me, great bluegill fishing, great crappie fishing, great walleye fishing, great muskie fishing. Great time for northern pike. Northern pike spend their summertime in cooler water if they can find it. Now they're starting to come back. These green weeds that are still alive. We're starting to do some perch fishing in shallow water. If you have a good northern pike population, I guarantee you've got northern pike, same place as your perch are. So just a good time of year to be fishing. Matt says he spent last Sunday chasing muskie. And had one chasing his topwater 50 feet away to the boat. What a blast. Yes. I had caught a nice muskie, tiger muskie, Lake Nipissing over here. I used to fish a lot on a topwater, actually bass fishing. Just exploded on it, absolutely just crushed it. One of the bigger pop-Rs. Pop-R, they used to make the pop-R in a couple sizes. I was fishing one of the bigger ones just at dusk, right? Not nighttime, just kind of at dusk, and wallop, and ended up with a 46.5-inch tiger muskie. I have a little inland lake. That was kind of fun. Good time. Bill Jennings. Hey, Billy. Grew up fishing 3 lakes for walleye around West Branch, Houghton Lake, Lake St. Helens, a little gem called Peach Lake. Oh my goodness, Peach Lake. I fished Peach Lake. We used to go out to my friend's cabin. He was on Bass Lake just outside of Tawas. And we would go to we'd go up there, every spring. And first weekend of May was our traditional trip. We'd take 4 or 6 of us. And we would always we'd go up there for 5 days. We'd go up Friday night, and we'd fish Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So we had 3 days during the week. And we would always take one day and go over to Peach Lake. And man, we did catch some decent walleyes on Peach Lake. That's funny. You don't hear too many people say things about that. But yeah, Peach Lake. Yummy, yummy. Sounds good. John Gall, nice lake today on Erie. It's a nice lake today out on the Erie. I get what you're saying. Gotcha. I'm like, what's he talking about? Gotcha. All right, anything else? Any of your other favorite walleye fishing spots for fall? Just a fun time to fish. I got the Michigan Outdoor News yesterday. The current issue came. There's a little story on here. In a recent sentencing hearing, a Michigan angler lost his license for a year and was ordered to pay more than $1,000 in restitution after he was busted by a CO with 32 walleyes. 32 walleyes more than the legal daily limit. So if he had 32 more, there were 2 guys in the boat. So that's 44 walleye. Holy moly. An anonymous complaint came in. They saw a gentleman fishing the Detroit River. The two aboard the boat weren't throwing fish back, and the tipster believed they were over their limit. The caller also described the silver Isuzu SUV towing the vessel from the Alta Road boat launch in Detroit. A dispatcher was able to run the partial plate and find a suspect. I just think this is kind of interesting. His name is Ramon Ziadjak, who had a blue Lund registered to him along with the Isuzu vehicle. We didn't catch him at the launch, but located the vehicle on I-94 near I-75. Stopped the SUV on northbound 75. Searched the vehicle. Suspect told the CO he was fishing with a friend named Pete, and they harvested a dozen walleye. The CO found 12 walleye in the boat's live well, as well as many other in an adjacent compartment in the boat. Removed all the walleye from the compartment and counted 26 walleye for a grand total of 38 in possession. Suspect stated that his friend Pete took walleye with him to his house, but did not know how many. Convicted, ordered to pay $1,040 in restitution for the fish. Fishing license was also suspended for a year. It just makes me sick, right? I don't know. I don't get it. I just don't understand. I don't understand it. So, it's one of the things that bugs me about some people. Possession limit. I have my feelings about the possession limit. I have my feelings about a boat possession limit. But saying that, that's not what the law says. The law says every guy gets 6, and that's it. When you got 6, you got 6. It does create some issues sometimes when you're charter fishing, but the law is the law, right? I mean, it is what it is, and I have to be extremely careful because I do contribute to the live well of my customers, and but I get 6 fish a day. If I do 2 trips, I can't give all my limit of 6. I can't throw in the live well in the morning because my guys in the afternoon may need some help. So it's a tough deal. I think there's a better way to do it. I'm all for a boat limit, 2 guys in your boat, 12 fish. I don't care who catches them, doesn't matter. I would like to see that happen. Probably never will. I would like to see that happen. I would also like to see a charter boat limit. So if I'm the guide and I have a first mate and I take, let's say charter, I take 4 guys out, we get there's 4 anglers and the guide, we get a 4-man limit. You get a limit for each of the customers, regardless of who catches them. I've seen people, I've physically witnessed people crack down for having a kid in the boat and letting the kid reel all the fish over the course of the day, and there being 20 fish in the live well with 5 anglers, and the kid reeled in whatever he reeled in, 12, 15 of them, because we're trying to get the kid fishing. Not me personally, but I've physically watched people get pinched for that. That's stupid. That's absolutely asinine. Maybe you got a guy from out of town who never catches walleye. Why can't he reel in all the fish on a charter? Why does he have to stop at 6? I don't know. I don't get it. I would like to see a boat. I would like to see a boat limit go into effect. 2 guys in the boat, 12 fish. You catch 11, you catch 1. Good for you. You kicked your buddy's butt. Yay. There's 12. Done. Over. Finished. Doesn't matter. I don't know why that's such a big deal. So anyway. Nick says should be bigger fines. I agree with that. Look at taking somebody who's a poacher and taking their license away for a year does nothing, because that guy did that. I guarantee you he doesn't have a problem fishing without a license. Right? I think at some point there needs to be a number. I don't know what that number is. I would tell you if you're 32 walleyes over your limit, if you're 32 over, your limit is 12 as a boat. So let's say the boat's 32 over. You are literally taking 4 times the amount of fish you should be able to. So you're 3 times over the limit. I think, personally, at that point, should have unhooked his boat from his truck, hooked it up to the CO vehicle, driven it to the impound lot, had a sale. Done, gone, finished, over. Lost your boat, sorry. On the spot. The minute I can prove you've got more fish in your possession limit up to a certain number, right? I don't think you do it at 1 or 2, but I think once you get to double the limit, instant, gone. If it's on the water, CO hops in your boat, grabs your keys, drives your boat to the nearest boat ramp, drops you off, and you figure it out. I think it's a bunch. Look, that's a thief. They're stealing from us. It gets me frustrated. It absolutely drives me bonkers. It makes me sick. Absolutely makes me sick. But whatever, it is what it is. All right, I'm not gonna end today on a bad note. Kelvin Brady says, I agree with thinks we'll see changes in the limit. Yeah, I don't know. I'd be curious to see, Kelvin, what this is going to be kind of an anomaly, and I'm going to should reach out to Travis, and I'm curious. I need to get Travis on anyway, but it'd be nice to talk to Travis about how they're going to manipulate the total allowable catch figures this year on Erie, which also affects Detroit River. Because traditionally what they do is they do their netting surveys, they figure out how many fish are in the lake, then they assign a total allowable catch, how many fish can be taken out of the system. Then that TAC, or TAC, total allowable catch, is divided among the states that share Lake Erie based on how much of Lake Erie they have, percentage-wise. And then each individual state at that point can decide how to distribute or what rules to make to their total allowable catch numbers, right? So that's how that whole thing works. So you get one big number that everybody agrees on a group that this is how many we can take out. Everybody gets their percentage. Michigan gets whatever percentage of Lake Erie they own. Canada gets their percentage of that one big number. So now Michigan has their number. That's for Detroit River and Lake Erie. So now we can go, okay, we can raise our limit to 6 or 8 or 10 or whatever we want to do with it. I'm curious how that is going to work, because obviously there should be less fish taken out of the system this year because of the amount of fishing time we lost. There should probably be more fish in the netting because we have had a good year and we had less fishing pressure at a time of year where there is high harvest in the springtime. And I'm going to be honest with you, I think fishing is down a little bit this summer too, as far as angler hours. So now you do this data, you really have skewed data because you don't have normal outtake of fish. So your outtake is going to increase next year because hopefully we'll be back to normal and be able to do our normal fishing. I'm just curious how they're going to adjust that. So I'm just curious. Matt says 6 is more than enough fish per person. I hope it never goes over that. I don't know, Matt. I would say I agreed with you. I was not a believer in the 13-inch 8-fish limit on Saginaw Bay. I'm like, what's going to happen? But honestly, we have one of the healthiest walleye fisheries we've had in a long time on Saginaw Bay. So I don't know. The thing I like about the Ohio DNR, they seem to be much more proactive, and they seem to be much smarter is not the word, because that's a disservice to our guys in Michigan. They seem to be able to be active, right? So if they put a 10-fish limit on, right, and said, okay, we got a lot of fish in the lake, we didn't get a lot of fish out of here last year, we need to go to 10 fish. They're able, because of the way the law is written in Ohio, they're able to make adjustments to their limit within a certain percentage fairly easy. So that's a big deal. So anyway, Chris says, what fishing time did you lose? What fishing time did I lose? I lost all of April. I wasn't able to run a single charter in April. I wasn't able to really run a single charter in May because they turned us back on, I think, May 9th or 10th with a limit in my boat that I can only take 2 guys fishing. So, at that time when they turned the fishing back on the Detroit River, I had about 2 weeks left, and we were limited by law to 2 people in a boat my size. So I can't cut my price in half because I only have half the customers. Still costs me the same to run a charter if I got 1 guy in the boat or 4 guys in the boat. Still costs me the same for my hotel, for my meals, for my lodging, for my fuel, for my slip. Those costs don't change if there's 1 guy in the boat or 4 guys in the boat. And dropping the price, you really can't do because now you're not making any money. It's not worth going. So, how much fishing time did I lose, Chris? I lost 77 trips on the Detroit River. 77 out of 87 trips were canceled. So 77 times average of $500, lost a lot. So, and then we had restrictions that you couldn't fish. You couldn't fish with someone who wasn't in your household. I know a lot of guys that didn't go fishing because they don't fish with anybody. They fish with their buddy who isn't in their household. There was about a week period there. I think you guys have probably saw it or read it. They're actually writing tickets. They were stopping guys at the boat ramp, and if you didn't live in the same household, same address, they were writing tickets. There was stories of lots of tickets written Detroit River, Saginaw Bay in the springtime, that if you weren't in the same household, there were tickets, and guys just didn't go fishing. Most of the places that keep track, ramps, you hear it from the bait stores. Look at the tackle sales. You talk to anybody that had anything to do with the Detroit River, whose sales depended on Detroit River fishing, and tackle sales were down, rod sales were down, minnow sales were down, lure sales were down. Everything was down this spring. The normal everyday stuff that people buy to just go fishing every day was down. So fishing hours are going to, when the survey is done, everything's done, fishing hours are going to we're way down in March, April, May this year. Way down. On Lake Erie, on Saginaw Bay, on the Saginaw River, on the Detroit River, angler hours were way, way, way down this year. Ryan says, you guys have it good. Ontario's catch and possession limit is the same, 6 per person. Can't fish again until there's 6 in the freezer are gone. Michigan is, we have a 6 fish limit on some bodies of water, a 5 fish limit on most, an 8 fish limit on Saginaw Bay. And then our possession limit is 3 days. So if you can prove you've been on Saginaw Bay, you can have 24 fish, including what's in your freezer and what's in your boat. Those 2 numbers go to 24. We do have a total possession limit in Michigan. Ohio does not. Ohio does not have a possession limit. They have a day limit, but do not have a possession. So, yeah, having 6 fish as your possession is ugly, not good. I don't want to go too long with this, but Dave says I agree about Ohio. And there's something I want to get Travis on, because there's something they passed legislation, I want to say about a decade ago, that allows the Division of Fisheries to adjust the limit at any time within a certain percentage what that limit is. So if the limit is now 6, I think they can go to 8 or 9 without having to have anything go through any other process. The Division of Fisheries, with I think a 30-day warning, can say, okay, June 1st, we've got this. It's been great fishing. We didn't get a lot of ice. The spring harvest was big. June 1st, we're going to take it back from 8. We're going to take it back to 6, or it's 6 now, and too many fish got taken out. We can take it to 4. They can do that without any other government action. Whereas in Michigan, anything changes to the limit has to go through a process. So kind of cool. John says, I'd like to see the slot limit go to 18 in Ohio, 18 inches instead of 15. We have so many walleye in Lake Erie now, but what do you think? I don't like slot limits at all. I don't like slot limits. I don't like another reason for someone to be able to get on my boat and check me. I don't like another reason to have to measure a fish. I don't like slot limits. There's places that they work and they have to be there. I don't think Lake Erie, Saginaw Bay, I don't think the east side of I don't think the eastern Great Lakes is a place that we need slot limits. I don't, the science right now doesn't say that, Johnny. And I don't like slot limits. I don't like them at all. Chris says, yeah, Chris, yeah, we could have. But again, there were some severe restrictions. I don't know how much you fish Detroit River, but there were some severe restrictions on Detroit River fishing. I mean, they were stopping guys at the boat ramp, two guys in the boat looking at driver's licenses. And if you and I went fishing, we don't live in the same household. There was a 4-week, 5-week, almost 6-week window there where if you and I got caught in the same truck going to go fishing, we weren't from the same household, we were both going to get a ticket. I don't know how much of that you fouled or how much you fished down there or how much, but there was a 4, 5, 6-week window you couldn't fish with somebody that was not in your household. And a lot of guys didn't want to mess with that. And they were writing tickets. And the stories of tickets being written got out and people weren't fishing. I got down there one day in May. I went down with a buddy. And I'm going to tell you, the boat traffic was 1/10 of what it should have been on that time of year where we were fishing. So the numbers, again, when you look at tackle sales, you look at boat ramps, you look at all of that, there was definitely a loss of fishing time this year, for sure. Guys just didn't go. They just didn't want the hassle. So again, harvest was not the same. That was my point, was we lost fishing hours, which means harvest wasn't the same. So how do you account for that when you set limits for next year? So I'm curious what Travis has to say. Corey says, I agree with Corey on this, and Lake Erie does this. I'd like to see seasonal rules that encourage selective harvest, such as more fish allowed. If all males under 24, reward the fishermen. It depends, right? It depends on this. Look at Lake Erie. We preach this for 20 years. The science says it doesn't matter, right? If you and your buddy go fishing every single day and take a limit of 10-pound fish out of Lake Erie, it ain't gonna make a difference. The science right now says that it doesn't matter. Science right now says you can't. Recreational fishing will never hurt the population in Lake Erie. What was the number, right? I know Johnny Gall was at, Travis has done the seminar a couple times for us. I know Johnny was at South Shore Marine. The slide is, I have to find the slide to be, but the slide is something like this. This is from Travis. Again, and Travis is the head of the warm water fisheries department on Lake Erie. So he handles the western basin of Lake Erie, basically the perch and the walleye fishing. That's his job. That's what he does. He's a biologist. He's a tournament fisherman. He's a charter captain. He understands all this stuff from lots of different angles. Then the slide he brings up is if every fisherman that had an Ohio license fished every day of the open water season. I think they call the open water season April 1 to October 31. So if everybody, listen to this number, guys, if everybody with an Ohio license fished every day from April 1st to October 31st and kept their legal limit every day, I think the number is 3% of the population. That's all that is. If every angler that has an Ohio license kept their limit every day from April 1st to October 31st, I think the number is right around 3% of the population. That's it. Lake Erie is an amazing, amazing fishery. Yeah, right. Randy says, remember in the Queen? Yes. So we had times here in Michigan you couldn't fish out of a motorboat. Okay. So Lauren says Ohio does a provisional limit from 4 in the spring up to 6. Matt just says they did raise the spring limit from 4 to 6. So I'm going to tell you they're taking into account that, hey, we didn't get the fishing pressure we have traditionally in March, April, and May on the western basin, specifically of Lake Erie. We didn't have the fishing pressure that we had, so there wasn't the harvest we usually have. Let's increase the harvest this year from 4 to 6 so we can get some of those fish out. So that right there tells me that they've already kind of figured out how to manipulate the numbers, right? So they can account for the lack of fish that we're taking out this spring. I like it. I like it. So, Mike says, what do you think the average size will be for walleye this spring in the D? No idea. You know, I would tell you, you know, every year, you know, we have years where you end up with a whole bunch of 6, 7, 8 pound fish on an average, right? We had that 4 or 5 years ago, whenever that was. But I'll tell you, most years, you know, over the course of, you know, the 50 days I'm there on the river, right? I would tell you, if you looked at all of our fish and added them up every year and took the average, even the years we have lots of big fish, that number stays right around 22, 23 inches on the Detroit River. You know, 2.5 to 4 pounds is just the everyday kind of fish. Those are the fish I look for. I look for those 18 to 24 inch fish. Those are perfect. They usually like to bite. They're perfect size. They're not too big. A lot of guys don't like them. They get too big. They won't eat them. They're big enough that you get a big hunk of meat off of them. They're usually mostly males. Those are usually the bigger males. There's a gazillion of those in the system. I like those 18 to 24 inch fish. Those are my fish. I like those. You know, every year is different. It's going to depend on what happens this fall. It's going to depend on how fast the fish come out the river. It's going to depend on how fast we get ice out. I don't want to talk about this too long because we maybe make this another discussion in March, but a lot of what happens in the Detroit River is determined by how fast the ice comes off on Lake Erie. Faster the ice comes off, the faster those reefs warm, the less fish we get up the river. Because if the reefs are there, the fish are there. That's where the fish hold. And if the reefs are good for spawning when the amount of sunlight, we talk about this forever, right? Moon phase and time of day have more to do with spawning than water temperature does. If the moon is right, the length of day is right, and the water is right around the reefs, those fish are never coming to Detroit, ever. They'll just lay their eggs and they're gone. They're never going to stick their nose in Detroit. So the faster ice goes on, actually the faster we lose, if we get a year without a lot of snow, even if we have a lot of ice, but the sun can still get through, start the food chain fired up in late February, early March on those reefs, we'll have a really, really, really slow year on the Detroit River. We'll see less fish come in the Detroit River. The years we get big pushes into Detroit, cold winters, lots of snow. Forget the ice cover. Ice cover is irrelevant because you can get 12 inches of ice with no snow. You're still going to get light penetration. You're still going to get plankton. You're still going to get a little bit of weed growth. You're still going to get bait fish. If we get a lot of snow cover on the ice, and now it's middle of March, and those fish are like, it's getting close, I can't do it here, then they all run up the river. So there's a lot to figure out. I don't start thinking about predictions for Detroit until about second week of March. You kind of start thinking, okay, where are we at? What's happening on Erie? Then I kind of start thinking about it. So, all right, let's just kind of wrap this up. Corey says most places aren't Lake Erie though, and walleyes are thought as a catch and cut. Absolutely, and that every body of water has to be managed differently. Every state obviously has to be managed differently. And again, I like the way Ohio does it, right? They have a fisheries division in Lake Erie. They have a fisheries division that takes care of just the streams. They have a fishery division that takes care of the southern part of the state. And each one of those groups has specific types of water to manage. You can't manage mosquito the same way you manage Erie. The same way in our world, you can't manage Holloway Reservoir here, 3,000 acre lake that has maybe 5,000 legal walleyes in it. You can't manage that the same way you manage Saginaw Bay. You can kill a fishery like Holloway Reservoir, which is now all 100% natural reproduction. You can kill a fishery quick by having a 5 fish limit. So I don't know. I don't think we do a good enough job of managing each individual body of water for itself. But again, hey, we pay $20 for a license and guys still bitch. So whatever. All right, let's call it a day. Dave says, top it for coffee hour. I always struggle to get the setup in the water fast. Tips on pre-fishing setup to get all the lines in the water quickly. We can talk about that. I think a lot of that is, there's a few tips there to get lures in the water quick and get your whole thing fishing. We can definitely talk about that. All right, let's call it a day. Appreciate your guys' time. Good chat today. We're gonna try to get back. My life is kind of getting back to normal, with lots of different things. So we're going to plan on coffee hour being 7 a.m. on Mondays. We're going to kind of try to keep that schedule as best as I can. So we'll work really, really hard on that. But again, pay attention here, just so you can kind of keep track of what we're doing and where we're at. So keep an eye here. So. All right, guys, have a great day. Appreciate your time. We'll wrap up with this. John says, just looked at the DNR from Travis. Travis said 115 million walleye in Lake Erie catchable. You're not going to hurt the fishery on Lake Erie. Not going to happen. So there you go. All right, guys, have a great day. Have a great rest of your week. We'll check in with you. I said, look, if you're on this Facebook page, if you haven't subscribed, if you haven't obviously liked this page, please like this page. If you haven't followed this page, if you like this page but haven't checked the follow button, follow. Because if you're a follower, what will happen is the minute we do anything, and you can check your preferences, you can get notified anytime we post or anytime we do a video. So when we put the promo up this week for what we're going to do next Monday, if you are following the page and you go to your follow preferences, you'll get notified. Notification preferences, you'll get notified the minute we post that, and you'll see what's going on. So, all right, guys, have a great day. Nick Morales, yes, I can. Give me 2 minutes here to get done, and I will give you a holler. So appreciate you guys. Hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you on the water soon. Remember, we still have spots for the Fishing Education Weekend. That is still available, still something, if you want to come, we still have spots. I'm going to put the link up here. Boop. And there is a promo video on our page. So go back to our page. There's a promo video about what the Fishing Education Weekend is. So there you go. All right, guys. Have a great day. We will talk to you soon. Looking forward to seeing you guys on the water. Have a great day.